Life is messy and unpredictable.
Being able to find joy in the weeds of life is so important. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kim, and we are so glad you've joined us as we figure out how to hold joy in one hand and struggle in the other.
Welcome to Joy in the Weeds.
And here we are. And once again, we start with giggles.
Oh, my word, Kim.
Oh, honey.
I'm so sorry.
First of all, we're late getting this done.
Yes.
Secondly, I told you, when Kim suggested maybe this would be a good day, I was like, yes, I'm completely clear. Anytime is fine. Kim picked a time. And then I get a text. We're so excited to have you come speak at Mount Pisgah Academy for an assembly this weekend. I mean, this Friday. I was like, no, it was right.
Actually,
during
it
the
worked.
exact same time.
Yeah, but it worked better because I had to do some things for Tim because Tim is going to Chattanooga this weekend and he had to pick up a van and that couldn't happen until 1. So it actually worked better this way.
I'm so thankful. But so I got up this morning and I was like, I mean, this works. I have to have makeup on. Well, I really didn't end up putting makeup on, but whatever. I mean, you have to get dressed, right, for both of these events.
Yes, you really do need clothes on.
So, by the way, if you're just listening, you can go and watch this on YouTube. We were just saying we don't know if anyone watches. We're gonna have to go check it out. But anyway, that was just a little side note. So I was like, this works really well since it worked out to do it a little bit later. So I'm just going to get up and when Chris gets up super early, I'm going to start with a shower and start getting myself ready. And then I'm going to set up for the podcast and then I'm going to go do the thing. And when I walk in the door after assembly, all I'm going to have to do is sit down and say, hi, Kim.
Didn't work that way.
Oh, my word. I was literally running around the house wanting to say bad words and saying, I mean, really, God, I don't think I need more like more fuel for this conversation. Like, I really don't think I do. I think I got it. I could not find anything that was needed to do this podcast. I couldn't find the microphone. I couldn't find the cords. I couldn't find the stand. I couldn't find anything. I had some semblance of order in this house before today.
Oh,
now every room has boxes open, stuff flying out of it everywhere because I'm trying to find the microphone. And in case you're wondering,
microphone? I don't know what a microphone is. It's a new equipment.
Today's topic.
Yeah. I was just going to go there. How about we tell people why you're flailing stuff out of boxes and what we're talking about today?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're continuing the saga of Beth's transition from Charlotte to Asheville.
I have spent the vast majority of my week focused on trying to get us settled. And part of that is just trying to not just unpack, but figure out what furniture is going to work where. We have people coming the next 2 weeks, not this coming weekend, but the next 2 weekends. And so, making sure, okay, so what do I need to do to have it ready for people to come? Like what windows need covering.
So we probably ought to tell our listeners and watchers, if there are any, that you have moved into a new home. You are no longer in that lovely little apartment that you were in before in Asheville. You are now in a home that you and Chris have purchased because you closed on a house. When did you close?
When did we close? I don't know.
It was shortly when our retreat was supposed to happen, wasn't it?
Right.
So it's been about a month, maybe 3 weeks.
Don't tell me that.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm not going to make you feel bad. So you closed on a house a while ago.
Well, we closed right before the retreat, and then it wasn't until a little over a week later that they actually moved us.
Yes.
And
now your house is full of boxes.
When we moved into the little apartment, we had a company that was moving us, and they actually unpacked us as well.
Yes.
But that was also just into, we had a lot of things in storage. And so now we're having to go through
Oh,
storage
everything.
things
Ugh.
plus everything from the apartment. And we've done this, like normal people do on your own. And I'm telling you, like, it's been such a joy. This whole week has been such a joy. So when I suggested this topic, what I was thinking was literally the joy. And I just wanted to focus all on the joy.
Of course you did.
Shocker there.
And Jesus wanted to let you know that there is
Oh,
more to
hush,
life
Kim.
than
Oh, hush.
joy. So all the joy, just wait. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
hush.
Brace yourself. All the joy got sucked out of it.
Ah, it was so bad. It was so bad. But I learned a lot in the last 3 hours
Oh.
or hour. Really just hour.
Really?
'Cause I
Wow.
got home, so I went and I just figured, "Well, it's not that big a deal." Chris had to leave early this morning. His work has been unbelievable. He's working starting really early till really late. And so I figured I just didn't have a chance to ask him this morning because he was in an interview, had a bunch of stuff going on. Anyway, meetings. I
Mhm.
couldn't interrupt him, right? And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I thought, well, it's fine when I get done with to ask him where the microphone was because he packed it.
Mm. Mm.
And so the plan was as soon
Mm.
as I get done with assembly and I'm driving back, I'll call him up. We'll have this lovely
Mhm.
conversation. He's going
Mhm.
to tell me right where it is. And I'm going to get
Mhm.
home and I'm going to get out of the box and I'm going to set it up. And that is
It didn't
not
work
how it
that way.
went.
No.
So I'm just
'Cause
going to tell you all how it went, and I'm be perfectly
yes.
real. In fact, Kim and I didn't even let us say 2 words to each other when
Not
we got
even
on
'cause
here
this is fresh.
because I didn't want to say it twice. So, hmm, so I call
Hmm.
Chris, and he
Mm.
doesn't answer.
Mhm.
And usually he sends a pretty quick text saying,
Mhm.
"Can't talk right now. Can we text or can I call you
Mhm.
later?" Whatever.
Mhm.
Nothing, nothing, nothing. Of course, it probably was 30 seconds, but you know how, like, when you're needing to
Right.
know an answer, it
Yes.
feels so much longer. And so I'm
Yes.
driving along and I'm just like, I'm starting to get concerned about this. And
Concern.
then he, I call again. And this time he declines the call very quickly and
Oh,
just says, "I can't talk." And then he sends me text, "I can't talk right now."
okay.
No, like, I think that's what he said. I should be careful not to, because I'm in a state right now.
It's gonna be fine.
Anyway, so, um oh, he said, "I'm on a call. Can text. Can I call you later?" I'm driving, so I
Right.
didn't get the "can text."
Right.
I just saw "can call you later." And I'm
Yes.
thinking, "No, I c I don't have later. I need now." So I hit record to record a text,
Oh, oh, yes.
and I said to him, "Look, I'm driving home, but I couldn't find the microphone. Can you please tell me where it is?" He says, "Check my black backpack." I'd already looked in his black backpack. In fact, I'd taken everything
Everything
out
out
of the
of the
black
black
pack this
backpack.
morning. So I knew it's not in the black
Um,
backpack.
not there.
Um, and then he just says, "It may be in one of the last minute boxes."
Oh.
Labeled last minute or just, I mean, what? Anyway.
Mm.
And then he says, "Those boxes are in the garage near my toolbox."
Well, it's good that he
So,
knew where they were.
yeah, so I'm thinking, okay. So I come home.
Uh-huh.
I put my things down in the house. I go out to the garage. No, there's no boxes except the ones that came in the storage unit by the toolbox. I open every box that I do not see clearly labeled as storage, and then I even start opening boxes that are clearly labeled as storage
Mm.
because you're at this point, right? I'm starting to get concerned. And
Mhm.
then I think, well, maybe it was actually in our bedroom. So I come in and
Mm.
there's only 2 boxes in our bedroom left. Lots of clothes everywhere. It's a disaster. Like I'm not even close to having the bedroom settled, but
Mm.
whatever. There's 2 boxes left. And those 2 boxes came from the bathroom. And so I start literally throwing the towels out of the box to get
Mm.
down to what's not towels. And no, I mean, I wouldn't expect there to be a microphone in
But
with
you
the
never
bathroom
know.
things, but at
Could
the
be.
last minute, you never know. And
Yeah.
so I'm going through all that. No. And some of those were like bins. I have to take out bins upon bins out of the boxes. And anyway, it's just, and so then now they're all over the room. And
Mhm.
then I'm thinking, okay, well, they're not there. Maybe they're in the guest bedroom. I think there were 2 boxes left in the guest bedroom. So I go in there. But to get to those boxes, I have
Mm.
to move piles and piles and piles of extra bedding because we don't have any place to put extra bedding in this house. And so but at this point, I'm getting frantic. So I just throw them out into the room while I'm then going through the boxes and have to unload those boxes far enough to see if there's any microphone by any chance in those boxes. And I do this throughout the whole entire house.
Mm.
In the course of 1 hour, our house looks like. Oh my word. Well, I mean, if you're on
Everything is
YouTube,
everywhere. Look at that.
here's a reason to be on YouTube. And that's
Open
just
boxes and stuff.
in the office. It's everywhere.
Oh
So
my
then
word.
Chris finally calls, and I'm
Oh.
obviously not happy. But you
Mm.
know what? One of the things is I found myself going down terrible roads.
Yes.
Like, if this was Chris's microphone, it would have been packed very carefully, and he would have known
Yes.
exactly where it was, and it would have been
Yes.
labeled, and it would have been one of the very first things unpacked and set up, as is his whole computer and everything else here
Yeah.
in my office. It's really our office, but I'm claiming it anyway. And so, why is my microphone not
Mm.
important?
Mhm.
Well, then obviously I'm not very important
Of
either.
course, because that's the way it goes. Yes,
Do
that's how
you
our
do you
love
see?
those stories.
I mean, literally, I was spiraling.
Mm.
Then I finally go back out to the garage. Then Chris calls me and tells me, I said, do you know what kind of box? Was it a bin? Was it a box? Was it a suitcase? Oh, that's the other thing. I thought because I keep our recording things that we use on the go in a little
Right.
suitcase.
Yes,
So I thought, well,
yes,
maybe
uh-huh.
he put them in another suitcase. I'd already checked that suitcase because that was logical.
Mm.
Recording
Yeah.
Beth's recording things. Could have. And so I decide to check, maybe it's in some other suitcase. And so I pull out, there is a whole suitcase that I guess came from storage. And guess what? The packers originally packed a whole bunch of stuff in there. It would have been 20 years till I found those things. But anyway, I go and but I'm throwing the stuff out of this. So that's all over the hall. Oh, yeah. The joys of a beautiful home. That's what I was talking about.
That's what you wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
My home is so bad.
and that's gonna bother you all
And I've
weekend.
been mad at my husband, and
So where was the microphone?
it was in a box in the garage.
Oh,
Not
like you
too
said.
far from his tool box, but it was under a bunch of other boxes that I had to
Uh,
first move. The garage used to have a nicely neat stacked pile of boxes that were closed.
Not anymore.
Oh, not even close. It's so bad. I'm telling you, a
Oh,
hurricane
dearest
came
one.
through this home in the last hour.
That's
And we're getting ready to go into the Sabbath, and I
yeah,
had
that's really
wanted to
hard.
have it all
Yeah,
nice and clean.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm
Well,
just reeling.
yes. I was just about to do something very invalidating, so I'm not going to. And I'm just gonna let us sit together
Sit in
in
the
how hard
chaos.
it is that your house is a chaos, that you really didn't want this, that your whole expectation was that it was gonna be set up even before you went to Pisgah. And then when that didn't work, the expectation was that Chris was gonna know exactly where it was, and he was gonna be able to come and he was gonna help you because honestly, that's really how you guys work like that's
Yeah,
kind of
that
that's
is normal.
that's that's normal. Chris to the rescue. I think we should buy him a white horse. Except this time he doesn't get the white horse. This time he gets the
Well,
doghouse
truly,
for a
truly,
little
he
while.
didn't do anything wrong.
But he didn't answer the phone when you needed him.
Well, but he
Which
was on a
technically
call. I
isn't
mean,
wrong.
he is getting, paid to actually work.
Yes.
I'm telling
Oh, dear.
so what I wanted to talk about, and really in some ways this is just highlights like why it's so important. I mean, we have I am historically I'm one of these people who the house is not, but being a good housekeeper does not come naturally for me.
Ditto.
It
Don't like it. It's terrible. I'm even looking at the carpet that's needed to be vacuumed for probably a month. I'm gonna do it today, maybe.
But it is really like truly it's it is there's a lot of shame associated with that I've carried a long time, my whole life. And as the kids got older, um Chris and I one day we're having conversations about our gifts and about using our gifts for God and what those gifts are and whatever. And
Mhm.
we knew that there's no question one of our gifts is a gift of hospitality. I mean,
Mhm.
we
100%.
will
Mhm.
anytime, anywhere, be happy to open our doors to anyone. And that
Mhm.
genuinely is the case. But we weren't doing it as much. And the reason we weren't doing it was because we were because of the house. Why God didn't give me both of
Mm.
those gifts. But in some ways I feel like they're almost opposing. Like if you're really, really good about everything, that's not true. There are wonderful women out there who do both. So, but you can't to let 30 people come traipsing through your house. You can't be too overly concerned, right,
Mm.
about the house. And at the same time, um when you're not too concerned about a lot of times, for me anyway, it ends up then becoming a back burner and just not getting
Mm.
done and not
Mm.
so we decided that part of being good stewards of our gifts, we needed to um prioritize financially or do whatever it took to figure out how to make that a thing. And so we ended up having someone come in to help clean the house. And that way, even if it was untidy, at the very least, I knew the toilets had been cleaned in the last week.
Right. Yes,
Right.
yes.
And so
Yes.
it wasn't disgusting to have people come
Mhm.
over.
Mhm.
So we did this a long time ago and we've kind of kept with that. But I've been trying, though I'm not good at being a housekeeper, I don't do well with clutter and
Right.
mess.
Yes. Uh-huh. Mhm.
I need a space to look
Mm.
beautiful
Mhm.
and
Mhm. Mhm.
uncluttered and
Mhm.
peaceful. That's kind of my
Mhm.
aesthetic and the way I like to have things, but I'm not good at that. And
Right.
and then is but then, it's interesting since we moved here, just kind of even questioning that I'm not good at that.
Hmm.
Um I think it's not so much that I'm not good at doing it, is that it's never been a priority.
It's not fun.
Not making it a priority.
It's not
I
fun.
yeah, it's not thank you.
Not fun.
I hear you now. It took me a moment to get what you were saying. Yeah, it's not. And I prioritize, when my kids were little, you know, playing or just
Fun.
being with them or doing or doing things with friends.
I
Fun.
love you.
Yeah, fun. I'm very unaware of myself today, aren't I?
It's okay. It's why you have me.
Oh, yes, it is. So anyway, this week, I mean, I've really worked hard at trying to settle this house.
I'm so sorry.
And really worked hard at trying to like get we've had some furniture that didn't fit. And so we've had to get rid of some
Yeah.
furniture and we're having to get new furniture, not brand new. I love looking for old furniture that works for me.
Yes. 100%.
But we did buy like a new thing and some old things, but just trying to find those things and trying to figure out like what's going to fit best here. And,
Mhm.
to really get settled and organized and all of that, you need to have the pieces of furniture because it makes a difference, like as far
Mhm.
as, storage goes and things like that. So I've just been contemplating all week about how important it is. This is so ironic, I just almost can't say it. But just how important it is to have a space that functions, where there is a
Mhm.
place for things and where things are
Mhm.
beautiful. And
Mhm.
at one point this week when I was wondering, like, am I taking too much time on this? I thought of, Psalms 23, and um, he leads us,
Mm.
into pastures by still
By still waters.
waters.
Mhm.
That's peaceful
Mhm.
surroundings,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Right.
he created the beauty around us outside. You can't go into God's untouched beauty and not feel at
Right.
rest.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it is important that our homes are a place of peace. And I say that without any you shoulds in any
Oh,
way.
yeah, no, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
It's just because sometimes, like, sometimes I needed to just play with my kids or be with my kids, or,
Right, of course,
be in the
especially
car for
if
12
you
hours driving them
yeah,
from one thing to the next at that stage of life,
yeah.
right? And so, but at this point, I've just been feeling this great need to settle with order,
Mhm.
and then in the
Mhm.
last hour to come and tell you about how important it is to have a beautiful surroundings. I have destroyed mine
Well,
trying to
some
find the microphone.
sometimes that emphasizes the point even more,
It does.
is when you're in the middle of I mean, you're gonna be sadly, because of whatever, what you envisioned for Sabbath, the rest, the exhale,
Yeah.
is gonna be harder
Mhm.
when there's all this stuff going on. So, that is gonna require from you the conscious intentionality to say, "Yes, things are not as I would like them to be. It can mess with my head, and
Mhm.
still, I will choose to exhale, and I will choose to rest in the middle of all of this, and it's
Yeah,
okay."
talk about trying to have joy in the weeds.
Yeah.
I have
I mean, really.
I have at Yeah, it's true. I think what hmm, I know that for me this week, um, there have been some days when I felt almost guilty for spending so much energy, mental energy, thinking about
Mhm.
just, you know, a rug or not a rug.
Oh, a rug.
And and then, you
I
know,
like
where is that picture gonna hang? Or do I
Yeah,
hang it or not hang it? Is that gonna
yeah,
be one that we let go of? If
yeah.
so, where do I want it? In what room is that gonna make it? And it's just a lot of mental energy going to
Mhm,
that and
mhm.
thinking, "Really, do I need to spend this much time? Like, is it really that important?" Yes, it's that important.
Yeah,
It's so important.
yeah.
Our surroundings,
They
first
have
of all, I would not have had this moment if my office had been really organized and unpacked, right?
Yeah, but no, I'm not gonna butt you, and shame will not work. While it is true, it is factual, had your office been organized, you wouldn't not have been. So yes, there is truth to that. And let's make sure that we don't beat you up for that, because that's not okay.
Right. I'm not, but I guess what I'm saying is it is speaking to the
Right.
importance
You're
of actually
emphasizing yes,
of
yes,
actually having it
yeah,
in order.
yeah.
Like, the order can facilitate.
Yeah. Well, if you think of your like, I'm gonna be making a cake for potluck after we record, and I'm thinking, okay, I know where my measuring cups
Right.
are. I know where the I know where the cookbook is. I know where the flour is, and that they're always there. So
Right.
the ease with which is going to be to make this cake, it's going to be just, I'm going to find everything. I'm going to use it. I'm going to put it back where I found it. And the next time I need it, that's where it's going to be. So, really, you are speaking to that
Mhm.
the
Exactly.
organization where things are
Exactly.
in their place,
Right.
not in a what's the word I'm looking for? Sterile. That's the word I'm looking for. Not
Mhm.
not a you don't want a sterile environment because then that's not comforting.
Mhm.
But order, you're right. Order and structure. I mean, people who are ordered and structured say all the time how God is a God of order and structure, and
And it
He
makes
is.
me mad every time I hear that.
Yeah, me too. Oh, me too. Oh, me too. It's like I do not need that shame right now. Thank you very much.
He's
I
also
actually like
creative.
spontaneity.
What?
I like spontaneity.
That's right. And
Yeah.
he's, he's creative and artistic, and
Yeah.
it's not just order. I mean, look at just all you have to do is go look at a wild jungle, like
Mm,
in the depths of a rainforest, right?
mm. Mhm.
Where it is
Mhm.
completely untouched,
Mhm.
and it is chaotic at best. There's no like neat little rows.
Yeah. Yes. However, there is the big picture order of the sun rising every day.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so
He's
it's all this
both.
yeah, so it's a
There's
both. Yeah,
room.
exactly. There's
There's
both and.
room.
Yes.
There's room.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Which is one of the things I don't like symmetry. Like,
Mm,
when I decorate, I will avoid symmetry as much as possible.
I love symmetry.
I know. To me, that's too ordered. Like, right now I'm looking at and you really can't help this, but I'm looking at my bedstand, and I've got 2 lamps, and they're exactly the same, and the nightstands are different, close, but
Mm,
different. So I made sure that that was and so there is symmetry there, but I am not one that likes a lot of my husband likes symmetry, but I'm not. I like I like curved and fluid and moving.
yeah, I like both, but I especially, yeah, I find myself drawn towards symmetry for
Mm,
sure.
mm,
Um, but yeah. Yeah, the other thing that's really impressed me this week as I've been working on this is the importance of figuring out, like, for me anyway, I'm not saying this, please, anyone listening, this is not your jam, and there's
yeah,
no, like,
fine.
you know, just go about life living, but this is just sharing what I have found this week, and that is that the it is really important for me to figure out, like, not just what is available, but what I really like. Um,
Yes.
I've gone most of our life
Yes. Yes.
with just what people gave me,
What's here?
what
Yes.
we found for
Yes.
free, what
Yes.
functions or what works,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and this time I'm taking the
Uh-huh.
opportunity to say,
100%.
"No."
Right. Mhm.
And it doesn't mean, like, I might go without them for a while,
Right. Yes, right. Yeah.
or I might,
Yeah.
I will most definitely find things used.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the environment. I think it's good for me, to try to
Right.
find. I like the hunt, so to speak. I
Right.
like a home that it doesn't feel like everything's brand new.
Mhm.
But we just trying to figure out, like, do I really like that, or is it just
Mm.
because it's here? And it's
Mm.
been interesting how that has been stretching me and
Hmm.
um,
What are you learning about yourself?
making that I've ignored a lot of that for a very long time. We worked on
Mm.
it a little bit right before we moved, and we had just started trying to do that with our home, one little area at a time, and it was really exciting, and I think that's why when we moved here, it was like, "Wait a minute, we're not going back to not making that a priority." And so,
But
and that means that some things that I loved over there, they don't fit in this house,
mhm.
and that's okay. I can
Aren't we
it
taught
fit
that
for
though?
somebody else.
Aren't we taught I don't know what little boys are taught, but I know what little girls are taught. Little girls are taught boys are taught this too, but I don't know how they internalize it. We are taught joy. Jesus, others, yourself. So
Mm.
we're literally taught as little girls in Sabbath school or Sunday school or whatever to not ever attend to our needs or wants ever,
Yeah.
ever. And then we hit, honestly, we hit menopause.
Every guy listening, just shut it off.
Sorry.
Every
That is another podcast. And did you get those two that I sent
I
you?
did. I
Yeah.
did. We're coming
So
up
those,
we're coming up on one. We're working on it. Let's just put it
yeah,
that way.
we're gonna. I would love to have a gynecologist talk to us. But anyway, let's move on. But we really, honestly, Beth, we are taught. We are taught to put ourselves very last, never considering our own. Not just not considering our wants, which in a lot of ways, yeah, we really need to. Just because you want it doesn't mean you can have it. Our
Mhm.
needs.
Yeah.
Our needs. We as women have a tendency to put our needs aside to meet everybody else's needs to the point where sometimes many of us don't even know what it is that we need.
Yeah, and I think this is where it gets confusing because need has often been let me just put it in this way. If you need a glass to drink a glass of water,
Mhm.
do you
Mhm.
need to like the glass or do you just need something that will fill up with liquid and let you drink? And I
Mm.
understand in some ways this is very much a first world problem. Like I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm
Right.
fully aware what we really need and we can
Right.
go down this trail all day long, but what we need is to have something to get water to
Sure.
our,
I
our
mean, at
mouth.
the end of the day, yes.
Yes.
Right.
But at the same time,
Mhm.
if I if all resources are the same and it doesn't like, I can choose one that brings me a lot of joy and that I really like or
Mhm.
one that doesn't,
Mhm.
why not choose the one that we like?
Exactly.
And what I'm finding too is, to say that I'm gonna get something like, for instance, if I were to say, "I don't like any of my glasses." I did this right before we moved here. And somebody else will like those glasses, and they will be a blessing to
Right.
someone else where they pick them
Right.
up for next to nothing.
Right. Yes.
And
Yes.
I can find other net glasses for next to
Next to
nothing
nothing. Yes. Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
some place that really bring me lots of joy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so why not? But you have to know what you like to
You
do
have
that.
to know what you like, and a lot of us don't.
No. And this is not just in our house, but in our clothes or in
Everything.
just everything. Music. I mean, there's some of us that have spent so much time on everyone else in our lives that we
Mhm,
just are unaware,
mhm.
unaware. And what I've been finding is to become aware and to figure out what it is and to actually then not feel wasteful when I gift it to somebody else or when I
Right.
and I mean dropping it off at Goodwill. It's gonna benefit somebody to pick that up at
Somebody.
Goodwill.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm not wasting, I'm not just throwing things in the trash.
Right,
And, then to go on the hunt for what will, what
right,
what what will I enjoy?
right.
And oh, it's been just thrilling. I don't enjoy a house full of boxes that have been strewn everywhere, which is
Yeah,
what I get which is what I get now, but anyway.
yeah. Well, yeah, I remember was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago when you were lamenting about some furniture that you didn't have yet, and then later posted you went on a hunt and you got some things for the house, and that made you really your heart happy. You remember that?
I don't, but yes, I've been doing a
Really?
lot of that.
Okay. Well, Tim and I had fun this morning. I went to anyway, it doesn't really matter. But we together went to this I guess you could call it antiques. Some people might call it junk.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were looking at like we don't have a fireplace. We've actually put a built-in bookshelf where the fireplace used to be,
Hmm.
and I still want a mantle. Like I want a mantle that's going to be above that where the television will go, and yes, it will be symmetrical. But we were looking at old mantles and what do we want it to look like, and let's get some ideas, and because it's going to be a pretty thick shelf. And Tim sits down and he's like, "What if we made a shadow box? And what if we put stained glass with a string of lights on the inside of this shadow box with a little switch on the inside to just," and I was like, "Tim, that just makes my little Enneagram 4 self so happy because nobody will have anything like it." So my job, he's going to build it for me, and he does stained glass. So my job is to find out
Oh.
the stained glass because we had already had the discussion that when he builds my my cupboards for my kitchen, I want some glass. And I thought, man, it would be so cool if I had some stained glass with some light behind it. And because I'm doing sort of a European look in my tile, I'm like, oh, we could put the fleur de lis, which is the French
Mhm.
flower,
Mhm.
which would be so cool. Not like a gaudy like because I've seen and I looked at some and I'm like, this is perfect. It is. I'm so excited. Now it's probably gonna be about 2 or 3 years before it's done. But
But
that
that's
doesn't
okay. Yeah.
matter. Like, that
Mhm.
doesn't matter because now we know what we want. We're not just gonna do something randomly just because we have to have it. He can build the shadow box anytime, and we're gonna put that up, obviously, and then he'll do the stained glass later. But it's just like it was just so fun. Like you said, going on that hunt.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Yeah, we were looking, we were hunting, we were seeing what we wanted, and then we came to this conclusion that we don't want any of what we were seeing, and we came to what we would make. It's going to make our home ours,
Mhm.
and it's going to be, and it puts us because we both. I mean, we both really like art. We like the crafting. We like to do things with our hands. So
Right.
anyway,
Right.
it was very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah.
Speaking of your very talented husband, I don't know if you can.
Let's see the. Yeah, I see that.
Okay, those are my bookshelves in the new house.
Uh huh.
And here, I'll zoom in for you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Tim made me a wood bowl.
Tim, he's actually there's a little store in Moxville where we in our previous district that that he used to sell his bowls,
Mm.
and they keep bothering him to give him well because he's going to Chattanooga, he's gonna go down 40 and he's gonna go through Moxville and he's gonna drop off this big box of he probably has 12 bowls that he's
Oh,
made
my word.
since he's been here. So yeah.
Yeah, I was telling somebody I'm not a big fan of, like, spaces with lots of things, but I
Right.
have these built in, so I have to do something with them.
Right.
Anyway, and so I was telling someone, well, at least everything on all of those shelves means something to me.
Oh yeah,
And
exactly.
Tim's bowl is there, so
Oh, I'm so
you can
glad.
tell him. I love
Makes me
it.
happy. Yay.
Makes me happy too. Yeah, I think what I guess what I really wanted to just share is because it's been so on my heart, is just the joy that comes from exactly what you're describing, which is just taking some time to contemplate even. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen right now,
Right.
but just contemplate how to make our spaces something that are meaningful to us,
Yeah.
and part of that is as simple as whether or not we like it,
Yes.
and
Right.
and and anyway,
Yeah.
and that's important, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and I really believe that there just like today, I go from this great peaceful plan, excited to share, excited to, you know, to sit down and have a conversation with you. It's been
Mhm.
a little while and I really was excited about doing it. And, you know, to and thinking about the weekend, my plans for the weekend, to literally tearing this place apart.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and it was simply because one thing was not in its place. I
Mm.
mean, I didn't have a place for it yet, so there was no place
Mhm.
to put it. But anyway, but still, it's there is, but a lot of us, myself mostly included, for most of my life, have spent a lot of energy
Mhm.
mucking through the weeds
Mm. Mhm.
because I didn't take the time or value taking the time
Mhm.
enough
Mhm.
to settle the space and to
Mhm.
figure out how it will best live for us and work for us and look for us. And
Yeah.
looks are important to me. It may not be to every person, but they are important to me as well. So, acknowledging that is something that God's given me, and I
Yeah.
need to acknowledge it and use it. So,
So what is
um,
the if you're when you think of the things that you have bought,
mhm.
whatever, um, tell us some of the beautiful things. Like what tell us.
um, so m- I had inherited my grandmother's dining room hutch, which has been one of my greatest childhood memories and joys.
Yeah.
And I love the hutch too. It is absolutely, um, I love it so much. Like that was so incredibly beautiful. And we inherited it, and it was in our dining room at the other place. Now, I loved the hutch.
Mhm.
It came with a table and chairs and a side table, none of
Mhm.
which it didn't all match.
Mhm.
Although she bought them to go together, but they
Mhm.
weren't like a matching
Mhm.
set or anything, and I'm not a fan of matchy-matchy, so,
Mhm. Me neither.
I respect that. However, table and chairs and the sideboard, not interested in. They just weren't my jam,
Mhm.
and when we were looking for a house, we kept every place we looked, one of the main criteria was we need a place for my grandmother's hutch. If we don't have
Right.
a place for the table and chairs, that's not so bad. I'll find some family member who would
Right.
like them, but the hutch, we have
Right.
to find a place for
Right.
it. And we bought a place that does not have a place for the hutch. And
No.
yeah, and but it's been really interesting because first of all, not many places did have a place for the hutch. It's a very large hutch, very tall and very large, and so it is it takes a significant dining room to
Mhm.
take that
Mhm.
hutch. And a lot of houses don't have dining rooms anymore. And so anyway, we decided on this house very well knowing, but thinking maybe I could put it in the office.
Mhm.
There is a wall in here that it could have been in, and all of that. But at some point, my I was talking to my mother about it, and she let me know that if and when I was ready to get rid of the table and chairs, that my brother would be interested in them.
Mhm.
And so I was like, "Yes, he can have them," because
Mhm.
they weren't gonna fit here either. And then it was about well, it was before we moved, but it was everything was in boxes. Like one of our very it may have been our very last night in the apartment. If not, it was close to it. Um, I've been thinking about it a lot, praying about it, and I finally told Chris, I said, "I think I need to let my brother and sister-in-law have the hutch," and I just burst into tears. And
Mm.
Chris is like, "Obviously not." Like, you don't care what you're saying. Your tears are saying more. And so I shared with him, one of the when we talked about downsizing in another podcast that we did here, I there is a weight that was lifted in the process of
Mm.
downsizing. Well,
Mhm.
now coming to this house, we're having to do round 2, which is a lot more
Mm.
painful in the
Mhm.
process because uh, it's not the easy stuff, right?
Mhm.
But we still want to make sure that we are in a place that doesn't have much that isn't just overly cluttered, and so
Mhm.
we're purging again, we're getting rid of again.
Mhm.
And I told him, I said, "There's 2 things. 1, there's no real good place for that hutch, and the house is not that big, and so I just I just feel like I need to let it go. And secondly, in some ways, it's gonna be a constant reminder that I don't have
Mhm.
the space for this hutch,
Mm.
for the big dining room. And I don't want to
Mm.
be, um, discontented, is that the word?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
I don't wanna be discontented with
Mhm.
what we have been blessed with, and we
Yeah.
have been so blessed to be here. There's so
Yeah.
many reasons, and it is truly a gift, and we see it as a gift, and we
Yeah.
know that it was the right place where God wants us to be
Right.
for right now, and, it was hard in the process of looking, having the weight of the search include a wall for a hutch. Like,
Right.
it really wasn't that easy, and I
Right.
finally just told him, "I think I need to let it go."
Yeah.
And I'm just saying all this, just tears streaming down my face, trying so
Mhm.
hard to not feel so emotional, but I was. Anyway,
Mm.
um and here, our kitchen table that we had is really too small there's only 1 eating area in this house, and so
Mhm.
I went from 2 eating areas to 1, and
Mhm.
it is bigger than the kitchen was and smaller than the dining room was, and so
Mm.
I needed to find a table that I could maximize the number of seats for this
Mhm.
eating space
Mhm.
without, um and it couldn't be too big. So we gave the hutch to my brother and his wife, and they came picked it up this week. Um, and I have to say, even watching them load it, there was a moment I was a little bit sad, but then um, there was also a real sense of relief, a
Interesting.
sense of, um, it- part of it was as much as I loved it, a lot of the love around and it's not true, I just liked everything about it, I liked the way it looked too, but it was definitely connected to the memories, and I can also love other things and create other memories, you know?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I just didn't wanna I didn't want to hold on when it didn't fit. So
Yeah.
and not just
There's
fit the house. It
there's a
just
whole lesson in that too. There's
yeah,
a whole lesson in that too. That sometimes the peace and contentment can come by letting something go,
yeah,
even though you love that thing.
yes.
Yeah.
The hanging on is tiring.
Hanging on is tiring.
Yeah. And I think that spreads over a lot of other
A
things too.
lot of
Like you said.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so I needed a new dining room table and chairs are eating area. It's not really a dining room, but anyway, I needed a new table and chairs. And um we ended up purchasing some new chairs, but they were on sale. And then we purchased an old dining room table that is very new to us. And we are So, I told Chris yesterday this may be the biggest we usually spend very little on things, and this was more than what I normally would spend on
Right.
something, but it was
Yeah.
used and still way cheaper than if I had gone and got in the store,
Right,
but
right,
whatever,
right.
it was a lot for me,
Yeah.
and I told him, I said, "This may be the most expensive big mistake I've ever made as far as
Oh.
furniture goes." But when it was delivered yesterday, and when it got
Mhm.
here, it was like, "Oh, no." And I can't begin to express to you when for me personally, when you're a very visual person who when this is really important, when things aren't right and you're always trying to make it work, that's
Mm.
exhausting because you're trying to
Mhm.
make it work in your head, you're
Mhm.
trying to make it work in
Mhm.
your heart, you're just trying to
Mhm.
make it work.
Uh-huh.
And just to
Mhm.
turn and look there and just go, "Oh, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
I love
Mhm.
that." So
Mhm.
anyway,
For sure. Yeah, so true.
yeah.
That's
So that's it. My newest is table and chairs.
so so there we go. The saga.
So what's your takeaway from all of my jabbering? And I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I
well,
feel like I
no.
just opened the floodgates and went blah, 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 blah,
No,
blah.
it's all good. I just there's a lot of similarities. They that we bought a couch before we left Statesville that I have been just racking my brain, make it work, make it work, make it work because it was
Mm,
expensive
mm.
and it was something that was like we need a decent couch. So we went and got a decent couch. It was on sale, but it was still expensive, more than we like you said,
Yeah,
more than we would pay.
yeah.
And about a month ago, well, 3 weeks ago, Tim says, "We just need to take a loss on that couch, try to sell it, and make our living room the way we want it." And I was just like, "Oh, thank the Lord." Because it just doesn't work. The old furniture that I have been finding
Right.
does not fit this couch, and
Mm.
I can't make it work. And so now you have no idea how much it's ridiculous how many things I have in my living room that are all squished together, and I'm just praying that somebody wants to buy this couch. But I'm ready to let it go for a whole lot less than I wanted to let it go for because I just want that thing out of my house now.
Yeah.
But it's very similar, very similar, and the need I have now that I didn't realize that I had until to have things tidy, like, one of the ways I want the kitchen clean before I go to bed every night.
Mm.
Like, I just do. I've never been that way, and it makes a big difference, and it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I want everything. I want the dishwasher loaded. Uh, I want I want the so, uh, just it's just very different. It's
Mm.
just very different from, no, I'm not going to just take that because somebody gave it to me or because I need something to go in that space. No, I'm going to wait, and I'm gonna get what I want when I
Yeah.
find what I want, and
Yeah.
I may not know what I want until I see it.
Mhm.
So I just keep looking. Every once in a while, I go around and I look, and I have found some beautiful things, and they're gonna
Mhm.
require work. Like, I have some chairs that I got, and they are gonna need a total reupholstery. I still don't know what kind of upholstery. I think I know what I want, but I'm not really sure. I know the colors that I want in it, but I will when I see it, I will know.
Mhm.
And I'll reupholster it
Yeah.
when the time's right.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of watercolors that I wanna fill my walls with because I have these huge cathedral type ceilings. Like, my ceilings are ginormous because we have a peaked roof. And I have all this wall space, and I'm like, "Well, I want that filled with watercolor." Well,
Mm.
that's gonna take a while because I'm gonna do the watercolors.
One of these days, Kim, I need a watercolor from you.
Well, when I need to get back doing it. I haven't painted in a year since we moved here because I don't have a space to paint. Because my house is still chaotic.
Yeah.
Like, my living room right now has all of the furniture in the living room. So that's 2 couches, a love seat, a rocking chair, and a lazy boy chair, and the yellow chair that I bought from you.
Oh my word.
They're all, and then there's 2, like, little cabinet type things. They're not very big. They're, like, maybe 3 feet tall, and anyway. And they are all in the center of the living room with sheets over top of them.
Mm.
And I don't even know how tall this ladder is, but, one of the chairs is under the ladder in my living room because my blessed husband
You know,
is sanding walls.
it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
One thing that I think you touched on it too, and I think this is so important to take away, and that is that you can make mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you can sell them and you know, maybe you'll make something on it and maybe you'll just be gifting someone else their greatest joy. So I y- you know, don't like when I told Chris just yesterday before the couch came, this might be the most expensive mistake I've ever made. He said, "Well, it's no big deal. We'll just put it on we'll just put it up for sale if we don't
Yeah.
like it." And,
Isn't it great to have husbands like that?
yeah, but it's
Like, that's just such a blessing that it w like, earlier, I was talking with someone they were saying, "Well, maybe you just need to sell the couch," and I said, and I literally told this person, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna talk to Tim about that because it's really just not fitting." And
right.
I didn't even have to say a word because that very evening, he said,
Wow.
"We just need to take a loss on this couch because I don't like it either." Like, everything I'm choosing for our home,
Mhm.
he's letting me make all the choices, and everything I'm choosing, he's like, "Oh, yes. I
Oh, that's
love
so
it."
good. That's so good.
Yeah,
Well,
feels good.
yeah. So I guess there you have it. We've done it.
So there you have it. We've done it. Joy, weeds, frustrations, peace. We covered all our bases.
Yeah, I think the only closing comment for me on this would be that value your space
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
understand it's part
It's part
of who you are.
of
And
your
also
well-being. Yeah.
it's your well-being. It's part of when your space is different, you feel different about people coming
Yep.
to the door.
Yep. Yep. Mhm.
You feel different
For
about how
sure.
you interact with your neighbors,
Yep. It's very true.
et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, value that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. Now I need to go pack up some boxes.
Okay. But before you go,
Last 24 hours.
what has brought you joy, laughter, or a smile?
Okay, so this is going to take you really, if you are just listening, you really need to go to the very end, and because I have to show a picture. I have to show 2 pictures. So, these are pictures of my grandson, Nolan,
I knew they were gonna be your
and
grandchildren.
but wait, I got this last night, and I just have to look at
Oh,
that
look at that
face,
little face. Oh my
and then wait.
word.
Okay, just think about that face, and now look at this face.
Oh, how delightful. The sheer joy.
Joy, is it not true?
Joy.
And
Yeah.
then this came from his father, and it says to the grandparents, they have a grandparent text thing they sent, and
Sure.
it says, "When you first experience Waffle House,"
Ah! That's
and
good.
then, "When you find out they put chocolate chips in the waffles." Oh my word, I laughed so hard.
Oh,
I just
so sweet.
oh my word. So
That was
cute.
sweet.
So that was my
That
joy
was
in the last
sweet.
24 hours. So yeah, go
That's
ahead,
neat.
Gib.
I was actually surprised by the joy that I had last night as I was driving home from my one of the a class that I'm taking. I was talking to my sister who had texted me before and said something about the package being delivered. I had no idea what she was talking about. And I
Mm,
said, I'm about to go into class, so can I call you when I'm done? Well, the package that was delivered was my mother to a retreat that is specifically designed for her.
okay. Yeah.
'Cause it's not my story to tell. It is a retreat, and I have been trying to last year, I wanted her to go. This year, I was able to get her there.
Mhm.
And I really wanted my sister to be the one to take her because I knew that that was important.
Mm,
And my mother did not ask her. But as soon as my sister so I talked to my sister yesterday, and she said, as Elizabeth said, "As soon as I knew what this was about, I said, 'I'm taking you, and I'm picking you up.'"
mm,
So, um, phew, I'm just real that I was just I literally screamed in the car. I said, "You have no idea the
mm,
joy that you have brought me that you are doing this." For mom, I wanted her to ask you. And so my sister is took her yesterday, which I thought it was going to start today, but took her yesterday, is going to pick her up on Sunday, and then is going to take her out for lunch. They're going to just take a side little trip and take her out for lunch. And I'm just so grateful. So very grateful.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And it brought me lots of joy. Yeah.
I was just thinking how complicated and beautiful joy is, that it's as simple as a kid finding out about chocolate
Yeah.
chips and as deep as what you're talking about, and laughter and tears, and it's
Yeah.
both joy.
And
Yeah.
they're all the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They're all joy.
It's
Exactly.
beautiful. All right. Well,
Oh my
thank you
God.
so much for listening, and I guess I'll just say, go spend some
Go make a space and find some joy.
there you go. Go make a space and find some joy. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today. We would really love to hear from you. So please find us. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Joy in the Weeds. You can also email us. Our email address is joy@carolinasda.org. That's joy@carolinasda.org. Now, we hope that today, as you navigate the weeds, you will also hold on to moments of joy. This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.